move now in the World Championship points race, and it looks like the Equalizer might give him a chance on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. But the Gravedigger will have something to say about that. Monster Truck Racing is next on ESPN. The superstars of Monster Truck Racing continue their pursuit of a world championship today as the TNT Monster Truck Challenge visits Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey. All eyes are on Bigfoot 8 trying to catch the Equalizer for the world title. I'm Scott Douglas. Join Army Armstrong, Chris Chapman, and me for all the action. Let's look at the season point standings in the battle for the World Championship. Equalizer's lead has expanded to 80 over Bigfoot 8. The Carolina Crusher may be the story. He has almost reeled Bigfoot in for second, and the Auto Value King Crunch is still very much a contender. Gravedigger has a battle of his own, trying to hold off Awesome Kong and USA 1 for the number 5 spot. Then Nightlife, Outlaw, and Buffalo Tremor round out the top 10 in what has been a sizzling point battle, sure to heat up more as we come down the home stretch, battling for the world title. In the quarterfinals last week here on ESPN, Bigfoot 8 was disqualified, having a severe problem with the cars on the right-hand side. The Equalizer also had problems with that right-hand lane, and the Carolina Crusher beat him in the quarterfinal round. Then USA 1 and the Auto Value King Crunch squared off in the Monster Smash final, and Steve Wilkie was back on top, getting the victory. You know, we thought USA 1 was dead after a wicked flip earlier this year in Richmond, Virginia. But Steve Wilkie will tell you they're very much alive.
Well, the big story last week in Flemington, New Jersey, Scott, as you well know, was USA 1 came back. Like the Phoenix, came back from the grave because earlier in the year, about 6 weeks ago to be exact, USA 1 took a violent flip in Richmond, Virginia. And at that time, everybody in the sport, competitors, all people said, no way, these guys are through for the year. But that's not what you guys are made of, is it?
No, absolutely not, Army. True Value and Chevrolet give us enough backing and support where we go home and we've got enough dedication with the people back at the shop that we can take a truck out of the grave and rebuild it and come back and run strong and run with the best in the country.
Tell me about the wreck at Richmond.
It was a pretty violent one, Army. I come down in between the cars and the left front tire hooked the other lane of cars and actually twisted the axle, the left front tire out from underneath the truck, and I drove right over it with the rear tires and barrel rolled it twice.
When you guys came to Flemington, New Jersey last week, a lot of people kind of went, wow, the gas, they couldn't believe you were here. But when you rolled in the gates, you had what we call a 1,000-meter stare in your eyes. It was almost like you were destined to win this thing, and you did. But, man, it was not easy at all, was it? You had to really work for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any event that we come to, we know there's no easy competitor out here. It used to be that way a couple of years ago when the sport really got started, but not anymore. You've got to stand on it and stand on it all the time in order to win.
Here's the reigning champion of the world, the Equalizer. Rookie driver behind the wheel, Greg Holbrook. A week ago, the slowest qualifier because of a disqualification. And look at this, a fire explodes on the back of the Equalizer. Holbrook will go ahead and finish the run. But for the second week in a row, the world champion is actually the slowest qualifier. Now, let me point out, that was a legal qualifying run. It safely enters him in the field, but obviously huge problem for the Equalizer team and owner crew chief Gary Cook. And there you can see the explosion on the back of the Equalizer. And I'll tell you, you got to give credit to Greg Holbrook for sticking with it. But he also did the smart thing by continuing to run forward. It sent the fire backward. If he'd have stopped, it would have sucked it right back up in there with him. And it would have really been a hot seat for the kid out of Tennessee. Well, the Equalizer will try and get fixed and be back in the first round. Bigfoot 8, after the embarrassment of a week ago, wants to prove himself here at Flemington, New Jersey. First round action coming up against the Nightlife Chevrolet. Now, after last week's disqualification, Bigfoot was able to come back this week and set fast qualifying time. That's what happened to him in qualifying a week ago. He completely missed the cars, and a 3-second penalty put him near the back of the pack. But fast qualifier this week means he's going to be able to really get after Dave Wysork's Nightlife. Also, it means he can stay out of the bad lane. What a difference a lane makes as Andy Brass lays down a shot and Bigfoot 8 whips the Nightlight Chevrolet. Outstanding run for Andy Brass and Bigfoot, and Andy Brass is nothing if he is not aggressive. Let me tell you, he will put his foot through it every shot. And right there, that was exactly the prescription order. There's Andy out of the truck right now. He's going to work his way over to Army Armstrong. And Army, let's see what Andy's got to say.
Andy, the truck is making it look easy, but I was watching you in that run, and you are just working your heart out up in there driving this thing. It's going straight, but you're driving it straight, aren't you?
Yes, it is. You know, we have, as you notice, we've had a lot of problems with it driving. You know, we've made some changes today on the truck, and Donnie and I have been working real hard on it. And I think we got the combination back together. It's true that I'm having to work at it, but I don't mind working at it a little bit if it'll stay going straight.
As you see on the replay, remember a week ago how bad that right lane was. Bigfoot can stay out of the right lane the entire way. He's got lane choice every race today because he was fast qualifier. You see him, the most popular monster truck in the world, the Gravedigger, taking on last week's winner, USA 1. This will be a dandy. Dennis Anderson from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, the Gravedigger, against Steve Wilkie in the Minnesota-based USA 1. Oh my, too close to call as Gravedigger and USA 1 cross the finish line together. What a race between two outstanding competitors, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger and Steve Wilkie's USA 1. They don't know who won at this point. Let's see if we can tell off the replay. Again, there's the green light. Both trucks get an excellent jump. USA 1 has handled that bad lane throughout 2 weeks in Flemington. Gravedigger coming back. Watch for the pole. That's the finish line. Gravedigger wins it by inches.
All right, they had to go back and replay and replay and replay. You're going out. You might be able to come back as a quick round loser. You've been there before. You can still pull a win off. Okay, Steve, we're going to let you go back to the pits.
All right, thanks, Army. Good run, John.
All right. Dennis, you both came over here saying who won, who won. When you run down into that tube, that is just tough.
Yeah, it is. You know, it was pretty tight. I knew it was a real close race. And like you say, I really don't know who won. That's why we turned around and came back up here. And
this sport is unique in the fact that he can still be in this thing. To let a quick loser come back, that was an awfully good run he made. You may have to go against him later tonight.
yeah, that's true, you know, because I've come back several times a quick loser and won the race, you know, and that's the same with Steve. Their truck is running good. I've got my truck running good tonight. If I get up beside him again, I've got a little bit more juice under the hood. I just don't want to tear the truck up, but if I got to push it to the limit, I'll do it.
They have two of the largest fan followings in the sport, and it looks like tonight they're both running superbly. USA 1 and the Gravedigger. Hey, we've got quarterfinal round competition coming up next on ESPN.
This
Truck Challenge in Flemington, New Jersey. Side-by-side competition, quarterfinal round, and two of the biggest rivals in the sport. The Bigfoot number 8 truck now back in competition after his temporary ban. And the most vocal, outspoken guy against this truck, Scott Stevens and the Auto Value King Crunch. Let's listen in on radio communication with King Crunch and Scott Stevens.
Don't leave the line as soft as you did last time. You know, try to come off of it pretty hard. And if we can get him off the start, maybe you can shake him up and he'll disqualify himself.
Guys, this is Army. You guys look like you're square dancing out there. Everybody's do-si-doing, but nobody's going to the starting line. What's the holdup?
Yeah, you know, me and Andy, this is where we both like to be. We like to almost melt each other's motors down playing games, but I'll fix the goal line just and do the best we can.
He's playing with you now.
That's Crash Ford, Kevin Ford, the crew chief. Army Armstrong was speaking earlier on that radio communication with Scott Stevens, and indeed, the mind games are underway between Bigfoot and the Auto Value King Crunch. Two camps that flat don't like each other. Scott Stevens, very outspoken. He does not think the Bigfoot 8 truck is good for the sport, thinks it should not be racing. And the Bigfoot people say, Scott, just get in the truck and race. We want to beat you. We want to beat you with our newest and best. And that is Bigfoot number 8.
The motor right down, though.
Scott, how you feeling right now? Looks good.
Yeah, the rough is good. It's probably the fastest run we've done all weekend, but motor would have win
I'll tell you, in the battle of words, you got to back it up on the racetrack, and Scott Stevens flat backed it up this time as he takes the victory. Just a year ago, Stevens' truck was called state-of-the-art. Now Bigfoot is called state-of-the-art, but this time it is the Auto Value King Crush Special with the win, and boy, Bigfoot ended up in some trouble. There's Andy Brass for the second week in a row. He is out early, and so is Equalizer.
Andy, you and Scott Stevens out there playing mind games before the light turned green.
Yeah, we was messing with Scott's been messing with everybody all weekend, you know, so we thought, well, we just get up there and play with him a little bit, you know. I think we could probably won the race. We just had a little bit of a problem there between the cars. Again, the truck wanted to go right and left. You know, we had to slow down, get out of it, correct, and get back in, you know. And we just kind of, once we slowed down, Scott caught back up with us, and we just couldn't catch it at the end.
Let's look at it again, and remember, every time Bigfoot 8 fails to pick up points on the Equalizer, more opportunities getting away to win the World Championship. Andy Brass trying to come from behind, but he's got to take advantage of these opportunities when Equalizer is out early. He hasn't been able to do it in these first 2 weeks back with the new truck, and boy, that suspension looms bigger and bigger the 2 months that the Bigfoot 8 truck was banned. Okay, here we go with Carolina Crusher against Nightlife. And Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher gets the victory over another one of the newer trucks on the circuit, the Nightlife Chevrolet. I'll tell you something about this Carolina Crusher truck. It is one of the older trucks out there. It's one of the heavier trucks out there, and it's one of the most successful. Gary Porter gets a great consistent run out of that truck almost every time, and this time it was good enough for the win over the Nightlife. You can see it, the distance is about 3 feet as the Carolina Crusher and Gary Porter getting the victory. The popular driver from Wadesboro, North Carolina, hops out, waves to the crowd, and now is going to work his way over to Army Armstrong. Army?
Gary Porter, we get down to only 4 trucks. You're going against King Crunch.
Scott, he's been making, some excellent passes, and I'm just going to have to go out there and let the truck do the best it can. I want y'all to have to do the best I can, hoping that they can win.
Scott acknowledges you're going to have lane choice. He acknowledges that you're probably going to put him in the bad lane, which would be the far lane. Is that going to be the case?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the left lane, but really that right lane is really coming around, and it's not near as bad as it was at one time, so it's going to be a real close race.
More quarterfinal action is coming up, including USA 1 versus No Problem and the Outlaw against Gravedigger. Stay tuned to ESPN. The TD Monster Truck Challenge continuing with quarterfinal competition from Flemington, New Jersey's Flemington Speedway. Chevy and Ford hook up here. It's the USA 1 Chevrolet, the 88 World Championship truck, driven by Steve Wilkie out of Ham Lake, Minnesota, to take on the big Ford Bronco out of Tennessee as John Moore hooks up with No Problem. You'll remember a few weeks ago, David Morris tried driving that truck for a couple of weeks, but the big money in TNT Monster Truck Racing is paid on the top 10 spots, and John Moore could not afford to lose any more ground in the point, so he is driving again. And look at this. It is a huge upset. No Problem has done it. He has stunned. There you see his wife and truck owner Heidi Moore. John Moore has stunned USA 1. And the Ford fans are loving it in New Jersey. The Bronco puts USA 1 on the trailer. John Moore with one of the biggest wins in his racing career. Look at this again. To the second set, and it was a bucking Bronco action for USA 1. He got a bad bounce in the right lane, and watch John Moore, smooth as silk and with plenty of horsepower. He launched it on the second set. A nice smooth ride puts John Moore in the winner's circle. He's coming around to talk to Army Armstrong. Army?
Well, John Moore, congratulations. Come here, Heidi. Congratulations on a run. I know that's one of the big guys that you guys have been going after and gals have been going after this year. It looked good. This could be your night, John.
I don't know. It felt pretty good. I ran the motor a little hard that time.
You're not going to run against. You're not going to run against anybody who's going to run you any harder than that run right there.
Oh, boy, I hope not.
Okay. How about you? What's going through your mind sitting over there? You're the owner, the bookkeeper, and everything else, and the big #1 fan, with the exception of a little girl down in Florida right now.
Right. When you can beat USA 1, that's a good win. He's a tough truck, and when you can get him, that's a good win.
Well, we're down to 4. You're going to be one of them. We'll see you in the next round.
Good deal.
no problem, knocks USA 1 out of this competition. Chris Chapman is on pit road, and Steve Wilkie is over with her. Chris, what's Steve got to say?
Steve, the car just didn't fall your way this time.
Well, this is a tough run. For some reason, I come out the first stack and did a horrendous wheelie in the mid-range, and I knew only pulling in two-wheel drive, John's tough, and that's racing. You know, I must have put it in a hole in the first stack there, and she wheelied out the stack and tried to stay in it, feather and play with it, but you do that and you lose, Chris.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger will face the Outlaw. Now, the Outlaw got a bye run in the first round of competition. His opponent was scheduled to be the Equalizer, but remember the fire in qualifying? Equalizer could not get repaired, so he was out without even a first-round run. Now it's Outlaw and Gravedigger. The winner goes to the semifinals and a date with no problem. Outlaw is hooked. Mike Wine of the Outlaw, Dennis Anderson of the Gravedigger have become very big rivals in this sport. Now they meet head-to-head. Showtime. The Gravedigger is looking superb in Flemington, New Jersey, as Dennis Anderson beats a truck that really wanted to win here in his home state. The Outlaw, Mike Wine, based in Pensacola, New Jersey, but in Flemington it was not to be. Dennis Anderson puts him away convincingly. Let's watch it again. Both trucks get away from the line very well. Anderson in the good lane. Again, remember, a lot of trucks have had a problem with that right lane. It looked like Outlaw did there. But Anderson is running strong.
Dennis, we're down to 4 vehicles. Looks like you got John Moore in this next round.
Yeah, I tell you what, old John's been running hard tonight, and when I line up, I just got to try to put him away because I noticed that Bigfoot's out of it, and I stand a good chance winning here tonight if I can just keep my truck together.
I noticed there's some liquid coming out of the truck. What's that?
It blew a little bit out of the radiator. I think it's just got an air pocket in it. The motor's not really hot. We just burped a little bit of air out of the radiator. It'll be all right.
We'll see you in the final four.
All right, thanks.
We're now getting word that Outlaw actually broke a drive shaft on that run. Let's go over to Chris.
Mike, from our vantage point, it looked like that front drive shaft was broken on the first set of cars.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. I come up the line pretty hard, went over the first set of cars. Usually if it breaks the drive shaft, it vibrates real bad, and didn't vibrate at all. Then I got on to go to the second set of cars, and it started spinning around on me. That's when I knew I only had two-wheel drive.
Well, some bad luck in your hometown. Maybe you'll do better in Weedsport.
All right, thank you very much.
The TNT Monster Truck Challenge in Flemington, New Jersey. Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, Chris Chapman, our entire ESPN crew with you to bring you the exciting action as Carolina Crusher and the Auto Value King Crunch get ready to hook up. The Crusher out of Carolina, of course, Wadesboro, North Carolina. To be specific, Gary Porter drives that Chevrolet. The Auto Value King Crunch, Chevrolet out of Texas, Woodlands, Texas. Scott Stevens is the pilot. We have some radio communication. We're going to listen in now. Army's going to talk to Scott Stevens on the radio getting ready for this race. Let's listen.
What's he going to do, play games then? Excellent run. Good run.
I think we won.
Yeah, I think you did too.
Scott, where we're getting from control, they're going to look at it. They think it could have possibly been a tie if that close.
Well, we can't pick it right here. Let's see if we can find out on the replay. Let's look at it again. Carolina Crusher closest to you. The blue truck is the Auto Value King Crunch. They come to the second set together. They go into the air together, almost like they're synchronized or hooked together. And again, watch for the pole. It's coming onto your screen right now. That's the finish line. Wow. Boy, that is just so close.
Well, the word we're getting right now, we're waiting to find. Okay, the word we just came down from the tower, you're going to the final. You made it through. Scott, he got you. They said they had to look at the replay about 3 or 4 times, but it's awfully close.
Yeah, it was a good race. I knew Gary would be real tough, and at the end there, I knew we were side by side. You know, he's running real good, and you know, you can't take nothing away from anybody right now. There's about 5 trucks running real good, and right now the luck's going with Carolina.
Well, we're going to bounce over to you. Thanks for coming, Kevin. You guys did a good job. Final time again. You've been here. Can you take this one out?
I think I can. Last week, you know, Scott got me in the semifinals. This week I got him. You know, a lot of trucks out here are really very competitive and running a lot of close races, and I'm just thankful I'm where I'm at.
Think back to when we opened the show on ESPN. Remember we talked about Carolina Crusher gaining in points on the top two? He is flat gaining some points tonight as he tries to track down Bigfoot for the number 2 spot. Our other semifinal, who's going to meet the Crusher? It'll either be No Problem or the Gravedigger. Now, some of the biggest wins in No Problem's career have come against the Gravedigger. Let's watch. Not this time, John Moore. Dennis Anderson wins. Hold on, Dennis. Oh, at the end of the track, he smashes in to those cars that are sitting as a barricade in front of the fence at the end of the track. But Dennis is okay. The truck looks okay. And it's a big victory for the Gravedigger. Dennis Anderson in what has been a real up-and-down season. And frankly, in a real down stretch where he's been breaking almost every week. Well, this time, the truck is holding together. And the Gravedigger is in the Monster Smash Final. To the replay. Anderson gets out of the gate very, very strong. And in typical Anderson bonsai fashion, he hammers the digger over the second set of cars. He's going to the final.
Coming November.
Well, it's finals in Flemington, New Jersey, and 2 guys we've seen before going for the big money. They're going for the big ring tonight. We talked a lot about the friendship between these 2 guys, but believe me, when it comes final time, it's like, well, it's kind of like the Hatfield and McCoys, if you will, or they're like Indians. They put the war paint on, you're going to see a battle. Let's see who's going to win this thing.
Showtime, the Monster Smash Final, Carolina Crusher and Gravedigger. The Gravedigger has won it, but can he stop? Yes, he does. It's a big, big night for Dennis Anderson. The Gravedigger with a very popular victory at Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey. Now the TNT Monster Truck Challenge points after the wild action here. Looky here, the difference between Equalizer and Bigfoot narrows a bit. The lead for the Equalizer currently stands at 71. But the Carolina Crusher is now within 13 of second place. And King Crunch is hanging in there as well. Gravedigger looking good. Then USA 1, Awesome Kong, Nightlife Outlaws, Buffalo Tremor round out the top 10.
Dennis, what can I say? About 3/4 of a truck length, we understand it was a close war out there.
Yeah, it was. You know, I knew Gary was going to be tough. We had a battle a couple of weeks ago. Gary put me away. I kind of slept in the midsection there. I told him tonight he better tighten up every string in that old Chevrolet he's got because the old digger's getting down to put him down, you know. And I pulled it off, and it's been a long time, really. But I really couldn't have pulled it off without my crew members, Kim Bly and Ronnie Jones, and my sponsors, Crowler Cam, TCI Torque Converters, M30 Hand Cleaner, and the Wax Shop.
Tell you what, you're looking awful good. Real good racing tonight.
All right, thanks a lot, Army.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger in victory lane at Flemington Speedway, Flemington, New Jersey on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. For Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman, I'm Scott Douglas. We can't wait to see you next time right here on ESPN.